So anyway, good afternoon. You will have seen the media release from the Climate Change Issues Minister Tim Brose earlier today, which sets out Cabinet's decision about amendments to the emissions trading scheme. The amendments announced today ensure New Zealand continues to do its fair share internationally while minimising the impact of the ETS on households, exporters and employers in these uncertain economic times. When it came into effect, the ETS increased the price on things like petrol and electricity and manufacturing costs in areas like steel and aluminium production. We came into power before most sectors had entered the ETS. We took that opportunity to change the scheme we inherited from Labor, adding several transition measures to soften the scheme's impact. Those changes more than halved the impact on households and exporters compared to Labor's previous scheme. Legislation as it stands requires the removal of those transition measures from 2013. We now think the measures need to run for longer, given the fragile international economic environment and the minimal progress made by other countries to develop similar climate change tools. The four main changes are that we are keeping the 1 for 2 obligation in place until after this year. This means participants in the scheme will continue to surrender units for half the carbon they emit, maintaining the $25 fixed price option until at least 2015. This caps the price firms will face if carbon prices begin to rise internationally. Introducing offsetting for pre-1990 forests to landowners and allocating the full second tranche of compensation where offsetting is not taken, and leaving agricultural emissions out of the ETS until at least 2015. The decisions announced today will have no impact on the government's forecast track to surplus by 2014-15 because the $80 million expected annual cost will be met out of the budget 2013 allowance. In practice, this means ordinary New Zealanders will not notice any difference in the way the ETS affects them or how it operates, at least until after the next review of the scheme in 2015. For exporters and employers, this also means greater certainty about their obligations until that time. The changes we have made means the ETS is more flexible and reflects the nature of our export-focused economy and our country's growth aspirations. These amendments also reflect where our ETS sits compared to the rest of the world. Outside of the EU, no other country has a comprehensive scheme as New Zealand's. There's no question that we are doing our fair share, and it's important we continue to do so without disadvantaging the country's exporters and the jobs that they create. Too onerous an ETS would simply drive many of those businesses offshore to countries where very few or no climate change initiatives are in place, which would do no favours to the environment or to New Zealand. Our focus is on the long term. We want to steadily reduce the carbon intensity of our economy, which means bringing in changes that help encourage exporters and households to change their behaviour over time and invest in new technologies that make it easier for them to reduce emissions. It also means seeking coordinated global action to this global problem. We are strongly focused on securing a high quality international agreement.